Hey everyone, if you've ever stared at an IELTS Academic Writing Task 1, one of those line charts or bar graphs, and felt like the jump from a decent score to a really great score is impossible, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to break down how to get you unstuck. So many students hit this wall. It's a classic story. You write a clear summary, you put the data in there, you follow the structure, and you still land a 6.5. It is so frustrating, right? Especially when you're aiming for a 7, an 8, or even a perfect 9. But what if I told you the difference isn't some kind of magic? It's actually a set of very specific, very learnable skills. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. We are going to look at a typical line chart task and then break down a super common type of response, one that, it looks good on the surface, but it's firmly stuck in that 6.5 zone. So here's our setup. On the left, we've got the task, a line chart showing renewable energy consumption in 4 different countries. And on the right, we have a sample essay. Now, just take a quick look. It seems to tick all the boxes, doesn't it? It's got an intro, it's got body paragraphs, and it even uses some pretty good vocabulary like steadily and considerably. So what's the deal? Why isn't this essay scoring higher? And there it is. The official score is a 6.5. This is that classic good enough score that can be the difference between getting into your dream university and just missing out. The essay gets the basic information across, but it just fails to show those higher level analytical skills that the examiner is really truly looking for. All right, time to put on our detective hats. Let's diagnose exactly what is holding this essay back. We're going to pinpoint 3 incredibly common weaknesses that, honestly, once you see them, you can start fixing them in your own writing immediately. This chart pretty much says it all. There are 3 main culprits. First, and this is probably the biggest one, is limited comparison. See, the essay just describes each country one by one, but the whole point of the task is to compare them to each other. Second, the rankings are ambiguous. The bit about Canada and Japan, below 200 and over 150, that's confusing. The examiner shouldn't have to guess what you mean. And third, using words like insignificant sounds like your opinion, not a fact. Academic writing has to be neutral and precise. Okay, now for the fun part, the upgrade. We're going to go from just describing what we see to actively analyzing and comparing the data. These principles right here, this is the secret sauce that separates a band 6.5 from a band 9. And here's that first fix in action. Just look at the difference. The word insignificant on the left, well, that's subjective, isn't it? It's your opinion. But the version on the right, lowest level, that is purely factual. It's objective, it's data-driven, and it is exactly what the examiner wants to see. This next one is all about making things crystal clear. That 6.5 version is just messy, with its overlapping ranges of below 200 and over 150. But just look at how the Band 9 version cleans it all up. It makes a direct comparison. Canada had overtaken Japan, and then bam! It immediately backs it up with the specific numbers. That shows you're in total command of the data. Now, this might be the single most important upgrade of them all. The 6.5 approach on the left just lists facts, one after another. That's just describing. But the Band 9 approach on the right, it finds relationships in the data. It doesn't just state the numbers, it compares Germany's absolute growth to Canada's proportional growth, pointing out that Canada's consumption more than doubled. Now that is a much deeper insight. That's real analysis. Okay, so we've learned the principles. Now let's see how they all come together to create a polished, high-scoring final product. This is what it all looks like when it's put together. I want you to think of this as your blueprint for a Band 9 essay. See how every single sentence has a specific job? Look at that sentence that starts with "in contrast." That is exactly how you fix that limited comparison problem we were just talking about. And that final sentence, giving the final rankings, it provides a perfect, clear summary, and it avoids any of that old ambiguity. This is how all those principles combine to create a really powerful analytical paragraph. Whew, we have covered a lot. I know. So let's boil all of this down into a really practical checklist that you can use for your very next practice essay. All right, here it is, your cheat sheet. Number 1, compare effectively. Don't just list things, actively compare and contrast them. 2, use precise numbers. Always back up your claims. 3, avoid repetition. Use synonyms, mix up your sentence structures. 4, be selective. This is a big one. You don't have to report every single tiny data point. Focus on the most important features and trends. Master these points, and I promise, you are well on your way to that higher score. So, to wrap this all up, I want to leave you with this question. Based on everything we've just gone over, what is the single biggest change you're going to focus on in your next Task 1 practice? Is it going to be using more precise language, or maybe focusing on that cross comparison? Whatever you choose, making that one conscious change is the absolute key to breaking through that plateau. Good luck with your practice. You've got this.